All right, problem 1-120. Describe the domain and range for each function shown below. So our first one here, remember domain is going to be looking at all the possible input values. In other words, that's the x coordinates. And our range values, remember, are all the possible output values. We know those are our y coordinates here. So let's start out with the domain. And let's look here. We have our graph, and it starts here, and it's going backwards to the left. So it has a boundary point on the right side. That's our high side here. We've got an open circle, which means it's not going to include 6. So it's going to go here, and then it's going to the left forever. Even though it looks like it's going down, it's still going to the left. So it's going this way forever. So if you think about it, like if you're going to draw the shadow it leaves on the x-axis, it starts here and it's going back to the left this way forever. If you think about what is this inequality, well, that inequality is going to be x is going to be less than 6. That is our domain as an inequality. Now, if you wanted to write an interval notation, remember in interval notation you need to come up with the like the highest value and the lowest value. So the highest value is 6. So you're going to have a 6 there on the right. Negative infinity is what it would reach out here because it doesn't stop. So we have a negative infinity as our low end. Ooh, that's a little sketchy infinity there. I have too much pride to leave it like that. That's better. All right, so remember, you can never equal infinity, so we have to use the parentheses. The bracket means that it includes it. The parenthesis means it's excluding that. This doesn't have a value, so you can't equal it. It's just a mathematical concept. 6 is also excluded here, so we're going to use a parenthesis there as well. So this is the inequality notation. This is our interval notation. Let's look at range now. Range, if we're just looking at all the shadow it left on the y-axis here, well, the shadow would reach from here. And we have a point up here, so it's going to be a solid point. And it goes down forever, so it's just going down like this. Whoa. A little crooked there, but bear with me. So our range, our highest is 6 and below. So we're going to say our y is going to be less than or equal to 6. In which case, it's traveling towards negative infinity again. So it's going to be very similar to this one. We're going to have negative infinity. That's our low end. Our high end is 6. The difference here is we have a point at 6 with the range. So we need to include a bracket. And then we have a parenthesis over here. Let's look at our second graph here, B. We have arrows. It's going to the left there, so apparently it's continuing to go on and on, up and down like this. Same thing over here. So we have arrows on both ends. So if we looked at like the shadow that it would leave on the x-axis, all of these points, all of these coordinates are used with this graph. And it goes on and on to the left and to the right. So what we're looking at there is going to be, you're approaching negative infinity out here, you're approaching positive infinity over here. If you wanted to write an inequality form, that would be negative infinity is less than our x, which is going to be less than positive infinity. Or inequality notation, our highest end is going to be positive infinity. The lowest end is negative infinity, so that's what we write in our pair here. And then we're going to have parentheses around both. This is the same thing as saying all real numbers. Any one of those would be sufficient. Let's talk about the range now. If we look at the shadow that it would leave on the y-axis, the highest point of the shadow would be up here at +3, and then it would extend all the way down to -3 down here. So that's the only y-coordinates we'd see out of any of our points, in which case our low end, -3, that's going to be less than or equal to y. And then our y is also going to be, well, our y is greater than or equal to -3. I'm sorry, I said that backwards. And it's going to be less than or equal to the +3. A lot of people get stumped on the inequality part of it there. That's why I like the interval notation. I find the highest point, I find the lowest point, I separate them with a comma, and then I ask myself, am I including those or not? In this case, we are including them, so we have brackets around each of them. It's that easy. This is closure problem 1-120. You will definitely have to do domain and range tomorrow or whenever you take your test. This is Mr. Boyd. Thanks for watching.